welcome to the Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest Laugh It Off comedy show. And I don't know, what kind of Zooms you're used to from your shuls or whatever, but you can unmute, and then if there's something that goes awry with that choice, right, like that, then what can happen is we'll have people on our end who are muting. And so I guess, like, even though it does seem like a lot to ask, we're gonna do mute, we're gonna do unmute, because this way we'll be able to hear your laugh, we'll be able to connect with you, and that's what we want to do. But
I think that's funny already.
Yeah, great. Okay, so probably going to be a lot of, am I too loud? Is this loud? Whatever. About a lot of times it's fun because there's a customer service call that will come into play, and that's really fun. But if you
35.
right, okay, great. So okay, maybe it won't work. If it ends up, I'm just going to say this, like, unmute. Great. Okay, so I guess we're just gonna have to mute. But I'm gonna trust that you guys get me. And I do feel a real connection between all 10 pages of the people here tonight. But we're here for the Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest. I'm Liz Glazer. I'm gonna be hosting-ish tonight. And this is, people were talking in the chat about Shuli's baby, and Shuli, your baby is so cute. But I was thinking about it not only for, the request was specifically that your baby be the show, and I would be out of a job if that was the case, so I don't want to go on that side of things. However, number one, I do think your baby is extremely cute. Number two, and this is more of a Dvar Torah to really kick us off, not a whole lot of Torah, but just in the sense that really this Climate Fest is, and Chazon's mission is, in order to infuse climate change and an awareness of the environment into the moral fabric of Judaism. And to me, that's very much a Lador Vador type of message. And so while we're here tonight, in order to laugh, I think in terms of the next generation, preserving the environment, being aware of climate change for the next generation, there are action steps that I'll outline at the end of our time tonight, just the last few minutes. I'll put in the chat, just some things that you can do that are practical action steps. But for now, I just want to couch our evening in, yes, laughs, but also we're here for a reason, and that reason is not funny, even though there are jokes that can be made in and around those topics. Now, I don't have a ton of climate change jokes, but I do have this fact, which is that I'm coming to you from New Jersey. I saw that there are people from other countries, and it's just exciting that we can all be together, and that's really beautiful. But I wanted to say that I recently moved from Los Angeles to New Jersey, and that I moved at a time when unfortunately there was really bad air quality in Los Angeles due to fires. And I hope nobody here experienced, the negative effects of that in any way directly. But suffice it to say, I never thought that moving from Los Angeles to New Jersey, I'm in Essex County, New Jersey. If you want my apartment number, really stay till the end of the show for that. But anyway, it's 1436. But if I never expected that moving from Los Angeles to New Jersey, that the main advantage would be the comparatively immaculate air quality of New Jersey. But here we are, breathing easy, thank God, Baruch Hashem, in New Jersey. We have a great show for you tonight. I can feel your energy. I'm sorry that we do have the mute. Thank you, Jeremy, for the condolences. I'll read them more in depth when this next comedian, who is a close personal friend of mine, he's amazing. We go way back in comedy. He's a total delight and a treat. You've heard him on Sirius XM. Please give it up, all the warmth and energy that you have in you, on mute, for the amazing David Spector.
Hello, Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Liz, for introducing me and bringing me on the show. Liz was talking about making awareness of the environment part of the fabric of Judaism. And I gotta push back a little. I don't know if there's any other group of people who are more aware of the environment at all times than Jewish people. If it's a degree too warm or a degree too cold, actually, that's how you know climate change is a real problem. If we have old Jews saying it's too hot, then it's too hot. I think we could all agree about that. Oh man, but it's such a pleasure to be here at big bold Jewish Climate Fest. It's about time us Jews got together and tried to take control of the weather. I think we could all agree it's a matter. Nobody tell Marjorie Taylor Greene this event is happening. But that's actually, I do have one. Oddly enough, I have one. This is based off of a true story, but I have one, and also like it's so great to be with you guys here on Zoom. It's wonderful. This looks like if the Brady Bunch took place on a kibbutz. It's wonderful. And to prepare for this show, I spent all week yelling at myself in a mirror, which is actually what I do normally, so it's okay. But I have one joke. About Jews and climate change. Oddly enough, I wrote this not for the show. This is just something that happened. I fall down into YouTube holes a lot where I'll watch one video, then another video. And I see stuff I never intended to see. I saw a video and it was a guy, he was a conspiracy nut. He did think that Jews control the weather. And the weirdest part of the whole thing was that he did not believe in climate change, which I had never seen before. I never had somebody who was like, Jews control the weather and they're doing a great job. You know, that's wonderful. Another sunny Christmas in New York. Thank you, Jews. That was his whole attitude. Man, there's been so much going on. Well, there hasn't been that much going on, not in my life, but in the country, so much. The climate change is a huge issue. We've all been inside. We're doing the show on Zoom because of coronavirus, unfortunately. This is one of the few new jokes I wrote in the last few months. So I'm excited to debut it with you guys for the first time. I used to watch the whole time. I would watch the Dr. Anthony Fauci, try to figure out what's going on. And Dr. Fauci, he is the head of the National Institute for Infectious Disease and Allergies. And I can't help but think that most of his job has to do with infectious disease. I've never seen him once give a press conference and was like, attention, everyone, there's peanuts in the brownies. We need to lock down. He's never, ever once done that. We've had, man, so much wild stuff has happened politically, truly so much wild stuff. I mean, Rudy Giuliani alone has lived 10 lifetimes in the last few months. It's gotten to the point that 9/11 was one of the more subdued days in Rudy Giuliani's life. If he were to talk to you about his career, it wouldn't even come up at this point. It would just be all these lawsuits and the craziness. I've been watching a lot of TV personally. That's how I've spent my time in quarantine. I became a big fan of a show called Queer Eye. Has anybody ever seen it? Make some muted noise. I love Queer Eye. What's great about Queer Eye is they have unlimited resources, but they keep acting like being gay is their superpower, you know? Every episode is like, Jim has had trouble making friends in a new city. So we paid off his student loans, like a bunch of queens, you know? And it's just like, I think we can all agree, though, they do a much better job than 5 straight guys would on that same show. If it were 5 straight guys, the show would be a disaster, you know? Every episode would be like, Greg has been depressed since his dog died. So we bought him a prostitute. And that is how they would handle it. Man, it's just so much wild stuff politically, truly. I'll be honest with you, I'm happy Biden won. I'm glad Trump is out personally, very much. I feel like I speak for most of us. But I was a big Bernie Sanders fan, and I think I know why. You know, you got these people. You got Trump. He's a billionaire. The Bushes, the Clintons. They're all billionaires. They all want a government job. Bernie, he's the only person who looked like he ran for president because he genuinely needs the money. You know. every speech is like, if I don't make it to the White House, I may not have a place to stay next month. You know, I'm worried about him. I'm worried. He's still emailing me for $27, like he just overdrafted his debit card or something. You know, one day I feel like he was just saying it's either commander chief or I'll have to sell my plasma, but I need to do something. I am running low here. It's good to trying to think of my other. So I come from an all Jewish family, you know. And I think one of the most interesting Jews in history is Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the only God of a religion to be a member of a completely different religion. He's still a Jew, you know, hasn't accepted himself as his own personal savior, which is a very Jewish way to go about it. You know, it's not all about me. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out, do I have any other TV jokes? I have Queer Eye. Drawing a blank. My mom, love her to death. My mom got plastic surgery, which is the only surgery you tell your doctor that you need. You know, it's never the other way around. It's never like, so we got the blood work back and it looks like you're going to need larger breasts. It's never like that, ever. You know, this isn't the only political work I've done in the last few months. I hurt my leg, but before I hurt my leg, I went out marching for Black Lives Matter. And I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed that they've managed to keep it going for this long. You know, whenever I would go out and march, when I'd first get out there, totally radical, burn it all down. We need change. Then I'd walk for a couple hours. My feet would hurt. I'd get hungry. My politics would start to moderate. Maybe it is just a few bad apples. Let's get home. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. What else can I do? My dad. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. So the big presidential election. I'll talk about that. This is how every politician wins an election. This is what they do. It's the same thing every single time. What they do is they run against the idea of politics itself. Every election is like, Washington's broken. Washington's corrupt. Send me to Washington. Being a politician is the only job you get by completely trashing the job during the interview. You know? It's never like, you never go at an interview and it's like, so why do you want to work at Panera? Because everyone at Panera sucks ass. What is your 5-year plan? To destroy Panera. All right, you've got the job. It's yours. You know, Washington is the only place that works like that. Oh my God. Shuli, is that your baby over there? No, that's your baby. Oh, hello, buddy.
This is my middle guy.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Say hi.
Hey, looking good. Are you enjoying the show? I'm doing crowd work with the
I'm running out of room on my lap.
Oh my God. So cute. So cute. They are the star of the show.
Right here.
Oh my God, adorable. Oh man. I hurt my knee earlier this year. I'll tell the story. I hurt my knee. I tore my meniscus and it took me out. It's August. I'm still not healed. I tore my meniscus and I had to get surgery. And after my surgery, when I woke up, I just got berated by one of the nurses for using my crutches wrong. That was the first thing I saw when I woke up. And it was one of the strangest experiences of my life. I totally forget where the story was going to go. My apologies. Let's see, I got to end this. I think personally, I think we're too tough on dogs. Personally, I'll say it, too tough on dogs. Dogs are the only animals that are held responsible for their actions. You know, if a dog attacks someone and bites them, we put them down. But there's an orca at SeaWorld that murdered 3 people. Nothing. Whales are like the Kennedys of the sea. Oh my God, this whale attacked me. Yeah, well, it's got a lot of powerful friends, buddy. Welcome to Camelot. Oh, I have one joke. I'll do it here. I haven't done this in years, but it's a really cute joke. And it's about one of my favorite things in the world, everything bagels. And I think the person who named everything bagels has to broaden his horizons, you know? Hey, what's on this bagel? Garlic, poppy seeds, salt, you know, everything. All right. Thank you guys so much for indulging me. I'm David Spector. Thanks for having me. It's such a wonderful time. Coming up next on the show, she won Boston Comedy Fest. She's one of the funniest people I've ever seen in my life. She is going to completely, you guys, we're gonna hear hilarious laughter, even though you guys are on mute. It's gonna break through. That's how funny she is. And to give you an idea, I used to see a therapist. This is a true story. I used to see a therapist, and one time I'm talking about comedy, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was more successful. And oh, this person is this person is that. I want more for myself. And my therapist says to me, this is true. He says, you know, there's somebody I know who is destined to make it in comedy. She used to be a lawyer. She quit, and then she's pursuing it full time. And I've never met anybody who I thought had what it takes until I met her. And I'm like, are you talking about my friend Liz Glazer? And he said, yes. And I said, can I tell Liz the story? And he said, no. And, but I dropped him as a therapist after that. So I don't care. Not because of that. But anyway, she is so funny. You guys are going to love her. Give her a big round of applause. It's Liz Glazer, everybody.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, David. Yeah, first of all, I love that everything bagel joke. It's just so fun. I did used to be a lawyer. I wasn't always a stand-up comedian. That is, by the way, that's like the typical route to stand-up comedy. I'm sure you guys all know this, but like generally speaking, you want to be a stand-up comedian, you go to law school for 3 years, practice for 2 years, teach for 9 years, then give it all up and do stand-up comedy, yelling into your laptop from home, in front of a screen that's covering the bathroom with the cat litter. I'm a lesbian, okay? There, I said it, okay? I am a lesbian. I feel like at some point I did get gay enough. I could stop coming out. People were like, we're aware. But I wonder sometimes if I'm like good at being a lesbian, like if I'm a typical lesbian. For sure, I'm not in 100 ways. Like I learned about Ani DeFranco and Melissa Etheridge from my straight male friend. I had no idea about them. He's like, you should listen to these. You should broaden your horizons. They're the everything bagels of lesbian music. And I love them. So, but no, I'm not a typical lesbian in lots of ways, but in other ways I am. Like I have cats. Okay. I have 200,000. We all live together in a U-Haul. It's parked right outside my ex-girlfriend's house where she lives with my other ex-girlfriend. They're together now. I park behind the Subaru unless it's being used. Then I just park behind the other Subaru. But I don't know if I fit into the stereotypes. You know, mostly being a lesbian, it's just a lot of cat hair. You know, that's really the thing with it. And also, I tell that joke, and there's Subarus in the joke because Subarus are a very lesbian car. But this is the Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest. So those are hybrid electronic Subarus with no gas in it. Like this morning, literally, I was like prepping myself for the show in a variety of different ways, one of which was picking up a prescription for my cat in the drive-through at CVS. Now, we can unpack that if you want, because did you know that if your cat has a prescription, you can pick it up at CVS? Like, they asked me one time, they're like, what's her birthday? And I'm like, and apparently it's July 8th of 2007, which is not her birthday. At least, I mean, I wasn't at the birth. Like sometimes I like to pick up my cats and I just say like, remember when mommy gave birth to you and took you home from the hospital and breastfed? And then they say out loud, they're like, that wasn't us, you know, so they know, but I can get their prescriptions at CVS. But anyway, the reason I was saying that is I was idling in the line at CVS and I'm thinking this is like the worst possible thing. Here I think I'm being COVID safe doing the drive-through, but I don't know what happens at the drive-through at CVS, but it's basically drive-through therapy sessions because I've never waited longer for anything in my entire life than whatever was going on in these things. But the thing is, it's very in vogue to hate waiting, which makes me, I'm like, I don't mind. You know, there's traffic, I'm just like, whatever. Because the thing is, like, whenever something happens on the road, there's this kind of like, you know, when someone gets mad at you from another car, and I can do this, like, I could even do this if I was on mute because they're basically on mute from their car and they're like, right? I love nothing more than at that time just being like, and, you know, it's really, I absolutely love it. So anyway, but I was waiting for CVS. I felt bad that I was idling. I did get the prescription. And, you know, that's the end of that story. But I'm a good cat mom because I got the prescription and that's fine. So anyway, I'm glad that we can be here. This is an environmentally safe, big, bold Jewish Climate Fest and comedy show. Nobody had to drive. I mean, I don't see anybody in the 10 pages of you who showed up, and really thank you for showing up, that are in your cars, so that's great. Louis Schiller, it's just, I feel like, have we spoken about this before? Those do not seem like a real cat or a real dog. He's on page 3 of 10 for me. I don't know if you guys see him, but anyway, I'm very excited, is my point, that we can be here all together on Zoom. But I do have a question about Zoom, okay? Do we know for sure, this website Zoom that we have all grown so accustomed to being on, do we know for certain that it is not pronounced Zoom? Just a question, okay? I'm not trying to ruffle feathers, but just a question, okay? So the thing is, like, we're all isolated, right? We're not seeing each other in real life. I, for one, have never seen a commercial for this website. What if it's like the book that everybody like reads over summer vacation, and when you're reading it over summer vacation, you're saying the words in your head one way, right? And it's not until the first day of school that you have to pretend like you were saying it right all summer. Like, first day of school, you're like, oh yeah, I know that they served hors d'oeuvres, right? They didn't do that at the Christmas party, at the Chanukah party. Her name's not Hermione. They definitely didn't review the dossier. What? She crotcheted a blanket. That's what it said. Like, I think we're going to get out of quarantine after the pandemic. We're going to find out that it's Zoom. That's my theory, okay? And by the way, during this pandemic, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot sleep, okay? Anybody with me on the insomnia? Bregger Lynn? Great. Lynn Bregger. I'm going to just say it's that. Okay, great. Oh, amazing. Thank you. So Lynn and I can't sleep. The rest of the 9 pages, I don't know. Panda Mike, that's fun. So anyway, I can't sleep. Whole pandemic, okay? All of quarantine, I cannot sleep. I have tried everything, okay? I have tried Benadryl. I've tried melatonin. Like, every night I go to bed dreaming of literal anesthesia. How many melatonin equal anesthesia is my question every single night. And like, true story, last week, okay, I had the pleasure, don't mean to brag, I had the pleasure of going under local anesthesia and passing out unconscious, okay? It wasn't supposed to happen, just local anesthesia, but I totally passed out. And when I got up, I see the doctor and the nurse on top of me. I'm just like, why did you wake me? That was the best nap I've had since March 13th, 2020. You know, I'm going to get a colonoscopy next week. Maybe like give some blood. Maybe I'll faint. You know, I know what's good. So anyway, but it really is a nightmare with the sleep. And I try meditations. Do you guys do this? Meditate. Okay, Lynn also. And Dina Main, or Main Dina. I just love the formality on this, like how it's like last name first. And then we've got the cash people, like we're just Martin and Bev, right? We changed our name. You know, I mean, Martin is formal. He's like, because Bev is like, listen, I'm Beverly, but it's a Zoom with 196 participants and it's Chazon. So I think we can go cash, right? I'm going to go Bev. And he's like, you know what? It's still my IRS tax name, legal name on the Zoom for me, Bev. I'm going to stay Martin, okay? Now, I do get it. Let's just see. Marilyn and Herb Cohen. So again, there we go. Okay, so it's kind of the reverse. So Herb is like Bev, and Marilyn Martin could be together. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, we all value Shalom Bayit. I get that. But, you know, just trying to do some shidduchim over here. Which, okay, so let me just say, in terms of my own Judaism experience, because I feel like doing these events, it's good to say up top. And so here it is, okay? I'm Jewish, obviously. I'm married to a rabbi. Which is exciting. I don't know, you know, yeah. So, I mean, she's a female rabbi, and I don't know, you know, what everybody in here think. Like, it's not like, I don't like braid her long beard every night before bed. It's a mustache, you know, she's reformed. But no, like, when I came out to my parents, they were not thrilled about it. I mean, they were like, Elizabeth, and I go by Liz, but it's like my parents paid for every letter, you know, and vowels are expensive, okay? So the wheel watchers know. But no, they're more like the Martins and the Marilyns, not so. I'm like a Bev and a Herb, okay? That's how I always see myself. But anyway, so they were like, when I came out as a lesbian, they were like, Elizabeth, lesbian, what are we going to tell everybody at shul if you're a lesbian? And then I start dating a rabbi. They're like, hold on, we're proud, you know? So it was exciting. We got married on Zoom. On this website. I mean, you know, it was like we walked down the aisle to hold music. We had a sourdough challah, you know, and it was a very COVID safe affair. I mean, it was like in the backyard of my wife's synagogue. I mean, so it was basically like a work event, you know, like a company party with like a guest, because we did want to keep it safe. My wife, a rabbi, she was like, you know what? I do this for a living. I'll marry us. And I was like, you know what? I do this for a living. I'll deliver the best man's remarks. I mean, the rabbi and stand-up comedian married to each other, pretty safe to assume at any moment one of us is in the middle of a speech, you know, just a lot of talking, and we're lesbians. So we're actually trying to have a baby now. So a lot of sex. No, we went to the gynecologist, and this isn't like a dirty joke, okay? And the comedian in me then wants to say every single dirty word, but I'm not going to do it. So anyway, so we went to the gynecologist together, and I thought it was funny because it's like, that's exactly what some like straight guy would think lesbians do. It's just like, oh, what do you guys do together? Like, go to the gynecologist or something. And it's like, actually, yes, 1 o'clock and then 1:30, back to back, basically foreplay, very romantic, hers and hers, gynecologist appointments. And the thing is, after the appointment, you know, my wife asks me, like, how was your appointment? And I, you know, I whatever, deflected the question. And then she was like, I was like, well, how was your appointment? We're just asking each other. And so I asked her, how was your appointment? She says things about her fertility, right? She happens to have a hospitable uterus. Not bragging, just saying. But anyway, so she answers with that kind of an answer. She asks me, how was your gynecologist appointment? And I proceeded to tell her which of my jokes worked on which of the nurses. So if you're deciding between two lesbians, which should have a baby, it's the one that's not leaving the gynecologist appointment thinking about that. But so I did used to be a law professor, and then I started being a stand-up comedian, which honestly makes me distrustful of people in real jobs who are too funny, okay? Because I'm not saying that I necessarily was, but I understand the motivation, and I had to go for a breast biopsy, and I go to a breast doctor, okay? So it ended up being fine. I feel like it's a bunch of Jewish mothers in this Zoom, so I do have to preface, Baruch Hashem, like it was totally fine. But while I was there, she didn't even know that I was a comedian, but this breast doctor starts telling jokes. And I really was taken aback. I was just like not bad jokes, not like doctor jokes. I was just like, honestly, I think she might be one of my favorite comedians. Like, I definitely relate to her. I want to be friends with her. And it was just like exactly my kind of humor, just like, you know, a storytelling vibe. And she really brought me into the experience of having my biopsy. And I was enjoying it. And I was distrustful of that. And at one point, you know, she's setting up this relatable story. And she's like, you know, honestly, sometimes I can't even tell my right from my left. And right away, I was like, me too. And then I'm thinking, this is the person who's going to tell me if I have cancer in one of two breasts. Maybe that is not the relatability factor that I want to cling to with this person. So she's too funny. I saw another breast doctor, and honestly, that's where I fainted. So it's all my mistake, but I'm going back because I did really love the fainting, because I do need a nap. And it's not coming anytime soon because these meditations. Okay, so the thing with the meditations, right? So I do listen to those meditations, but unfortunately, meditations these days are gaslighting us, okay? Because I'll listen to a meditation, right? And the meditation is like, everything's fine, you can relax, nothing's wrong. And I'm like, excuse me, when was this meditation recorded? Right? I need a meditation that's recorded like now or even in the future, like somebody who's like, hi, I'm out here. It's 2026. This all works out fine. You can go to sleep. And also it's pronounced Zoom. You were right the whole time and you're the spokesperson for Zoom. So anyway, so in the last kind of like little, you know, quadrant of this set, I want to just describe a little bit of my Judaism, which I promised you earlier. So I am Jewish, married to a rabbi, so whatever credentials that gives me. And I happened to go to Orthodox Jewish day school from 1st through 12th grade. Now, my parents were and are not Orthodox, but they were like, we want our children to know more about davening than everyone at our shul. We actually want them to college shul, right? Because the thing is that as you progress as a Jew, like the more kind of from Orthodox you are, my theory is the more you throw it away, like it's like you have to say Jewish words as though you hate them, right? Like it's like, you know, we could say, okay, what about, you know, it's been a nice Shabbos. We want to have a third meal of the day. What, Shalashodes? It sounds like snot on a plate, right? I mean, seriously, like it's like, well, we've had this nice Shalashodes. We now have to say grace after meals. What, benching? You have to bench, right? My wife her job is at a temple. It is a place of worship, a synagogue. That is a word that has some weight, some meaning. It sounds lovely. And then it's like, what, shul? Shul? You have to go to shul? And so that's what being from an Orthodox person. So I went to an Orthodox school. And so I called it davening. Like I went to, you know, and I'm not here, like you can check my credentials or whatever. It wasn't like the most from school. There were boys and girls in the same school, but like we called it davening, right? And by the way, the only way that I believe Hashem understands anything I'm saying is if I'm speed reading a siddur, like someone has a gun to my head that I have to finish the whole thing by sunrise. Okay? That's the level of Judaism that I'm comfortable with. Like seriously, my wife is a beautiful prayer. She writes benedictions. I never even thought they were called that. And they're gorgeous and they make me cry. And we'll be saying Kiddush on Shabbos, which of course she's like, you mean Kiddush on Shabbat? And so we'll be saying Kiddush on Shabbos. And she'll be like, oh, do you want to lead Kiddush? And if I don't get it all in one breath, it's like that pasuk from Megillat Esther, right? If you don't say it in one breath, then you have to start over. That's how I am with Kiddush. I don't know what page it's on in a bencher from someone's bar mitzvah or wedding. I just know how it sounds all the way through. And if I stop in the middle, I have to start over. But she thankfully can catch me because she's like, you know, a kind of Jew that like cares about kindness and thinks about the meanings of the words that she's saying. So anyway, but I did go to that kind of school. And so I was, and my family, we were less observant than everyone at school, which in first grade meant, and these were, you know, pre-COVID times, it was 1986, okay? And so at that time, right, I had a packed schedule, like a 6-year-old schedule. And I remember one Monday coming into school and my friend Shira was like, what did you do this weekend? And like an honest 6-year-old, I was like, well, we went apple picking and we went to Paramus Park and we went to the movies and we went to the museum and we went to the park. And she's like, you did all of that on Sunday? And I said, yes, because I'm a liar with no morals. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. We have a wonderful, wonderful comedian who's going to grace us with her set. She's amazing. You've heard her on Sirius XM. She's been written about in the Wall Street Journal. She's been written about lots of other places, and I'm doing a terrible job listing her entire resume. And so were her mother here, she'd be like, she didn't say this, she didn't say that. That's the kind of resume that Talia has. And please, please give it up. She's amazing. The awesome, amazing Talia Reese.
Oh my gosh. I'm crying. My makeup is all over my face. Liz, you're so funny. And what's so funny is, as far as Judaism, I'm coming from the opposite place. I come from nothing, and now I'm doing everything. Liz comes from everything, and she's still doing a lot, but we're starting in different places. Tonight, Shabbat Shira, right? That's what today, where we commemorate the Jews crossing the Red Sea and the Egyptians becoming the world's first victims of rising sea levels. These days, the Egyptians would have been fine with the parting of the sea. They would just grab onto the floating trash, you know? You'd know an Egyptian by the 6-pack rings hanging around his neck. That's all I'm saying. But no, it's great to be here. This is a very important issue, but it's so great to be here. I actually had a very interesting week. I did a show at a Reform synagogue and a Haredi one. And so I always like to go on the website to learn about the place beforehand. I went on the Reform synagogue website to see what it was like. And it said, we welcome all genders to pray here, which is funny because when I went on the Haredi website, it said, we welcome one gender to pray here. And no, I'm just kidding. They didn't have a website. And so how is everybody doing in their quarantine? It's nice to see. When I look this way, I can see the gallery view. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous people. Look, I'll tell you, I've had 2 failed marriages. I'll say, and I'm still in one of them. So it's been rough. Okay, lately I say things to my husband that sound like I'm breaking up with him, but I'm not. You know, like, I love you, but I want to see other people. And we switched sides of the bed of the other night just for a change of scenery. You know, like when I woke up, I felt like I was in St. Bart. I was like, oh my God. It's crazy times, but you know what? The kids are in school. That's been a good thing. In New York, we've had that. We thought we were going to have to homeschool our kids, but thanks to the efforts of administrations, the children have mostly been in school. I mean, as late as August, my husband and I were planning to supervise Zoom school. At one point, I heard my daughter ask her sister, who did you get this year? She goes, I got mom. And my daughter said, oh, I had her last year. She sucks. So, but no, they're back in school. And you know, one negative though about having been in school is hearing all the complaining again. Like, I hate all these tests. Why do we have to have one every week? I said, honey, what subject? She goes, no, the COVID tests. She's had 5 tests. Those nasal swabs, they're they're so invasive and uncomfortable for these children. I swear, I never thought I'd say this. Just test them rectally. Test them rectally. It would be so much less invasive. And there's a daily screening app every single day, every morning. Has your daughter traveled internationally in the last 2 weeks? Every day. She saw you yesterday at 4 o'clock, but she's been to Italy and back for an amazing dinner. Isn't that fantastic? No, it's crazy. So, I mean, I know that's not a public school thing. I send my daughter to Jewish day school. I don't have enough time to give you my whole story. Send her to Jewish day school. I married a religious Jew. That's how I've gotten more religious. So it was kind of a no-brainer to send my kids to yeshiva. I remember I went on the Hebrew Academy website. I just called the number on the screen. But it turned out that was the tuition. You guys, this is a tough religion. In case if you've been to day school or you have kids in day school, you know, in the morning they learn English. In the afternoon, they unlearn English. Moses, he didn't tell the Jews they cannot go into Israel. My daughter has no idea. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't even know what day it is. She comes home, she's like, Mom, it's 14 Adar? I'm like, it's Wednesday. It's fine. We're in March. Don't, not important. But anyway, enough about that. We could go on. I could go on. But we had a good summer though, right? Here in New York, we had a good summer. They lifted the ban on elective surgeries and other non-essentials. The hair places opened, the nail places. But I have to say, I think it was too soon. You know, I did one more month, we all would have looked our age. You'd see each other in synagogue. You'd be like, oh my God, you're in your 50s? You're not a blonde? And you have a goatee now, Shoshana. You know, have you noticed the more you stay at home, though, the more homeless you look, right? Look, I hope you're laughing. This is the first time, by the way, I've put on makeup in 5 days. So you better be laughing because I actually have to wash my face tonight. Listen, everything is an effort now. Everything. At first, remember back in March, tried to make the best of it. You said, okay, I'm going to organize my entire house. I'm going to write that novel I always said I was going to do. But let's face it, it's been ice cream in pajamas, binging Netflix. It had. I mean, if any of you have actually used quarantine as an opportunity to get in shape or better yourselves in any way, we all hate you. So I'll say I do go to the supermarket. That's where my main place. And I go there wearing a mask because honestly, I'm scared to run into my mother without my makeup on. And she lives in my town, Great Neck, New York. That's where I live. It's an orange zone. Yeah. So I know, don't worry. You can only catch it through droplets in the air and Zoom audio, by the way. So get on video. If you're not, I'm looking this way. That's where I can see some of you. I see Ellen. I see Judy and Alan. Hi, guys. So these are my names. I'm comfortable. I feel very comfortable. But, you know, I have to say, speaking of my mother, she loves COVID. She loves it. I know that sounds crazy, but this is a woman who's been saying, the world is ending. The world is ending for years. For years. And now she finally gets to say, I told you. So, by the way, speaking of that, of the kids and math and teaching, did I speak of that? This is how I teach my kids math now. If I have to, I say, if I go into a store for 25 minutes and 4 out of 8 people are wearing masks and I don't tell grandma, but she finds out, how many days will she not talk to me for? Oh, and so supermarkets, they're a whole drama now. I mean, a whole drama, especially the kosher supermarkets for those of us shopping kosher. It's scary. It's scary again. A lot of hustle bustle, a lot of these markets, you're in a tight space. You've got people, they're back to using their hands, their raw hands on the shopping carts, gloveless. I don't like that. A woman the other day, she moved my cart out of her way, just raw handing my cart. It's like, what are you, an animal? You just touch my supermarket cart like that? The supermarket, it's your community brothel now. Right? You gotta think about it. You gotta wear protection going in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want anyone to see your face. By the time you're done, you're out $500. And you keep going back, even though you know you shouldn't. Look, in case you can't tell, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. I've always been. This just made the whole world come along with me, which I actually love. I've never been a fan of holding hands in general, like in a hora type situation at simchas. I never liked it. I never liked it. Even before, I always tried to minimize the amount of hands that I hold during a hora. But you get bounced around. I remember last summer, I went to a huge wedding. Not this past summer. I'm not Hasidic. It was like the summer before that. A huge wedding. I held hands with so many different ladies. I'll tell you, when I got home, my palms had a yeast infection. So you really have to be careful, is what I'm saying. Look, the world, I don't have to tell you, the world is going crazy like never before. And I'm following the news like I've never did before. And I used to be a lawyer. And I know people are often surprised by that, because I always hear, you're a lawyer? You don't seem that smart. And I'm like, okay, enough about it, Mom. My parents, they're old school, traditional Jewish parents, my dad is Sephardi, for God. They did not want a daughter doing stand-up. They did not want a daughter. But, I'm what you call an Ashkafard. A lot of you know what that means. I see you nodding your head. It's not an Ashkenazi with bad gas. It's my mother's side is of Eastern European descent, Ashkenazi, and my father is Sephardic, Bukharian descent. I'm crazy. But I got inherited traits from both of them. Like I inherited my mother's light skin and my father's dark body hair. So I'm very lucky. I didn't have to take out college loans, but I took out electrolysis loans. But, I'll say that growing up with a Sephardic dad, it did have a lot of perks. I bet a lot of you know. Like for example, on Pesach, I got to eat what? Shrimp. Yeah. But then I married Chaim, an Ashkenazi Jew, so I gave up a lot of things, like rice on Pesach, working, my identity. But you know what the thing is? He's too Ashkenazi. That's the problem. I see a lot of Ashkenazim out here. You'll know what I mean. He's so Ashkenazi, boiled chicken is too spicy for him.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's so Ashkenazi, he puts on sunscreen before using the microwave. Okay, he's so Ashkenazi, he had his computer checked for Tay-Sachs.
Oh.
That's a dark one. He's so Ashkenazi, he paid a Persian rug dealer his asking price. He's so Ashkenazi, and I'll close with this. I know. When he davens, when he prays, he says Yiskadal, not Yitzkadal. Nails on a chalkboard. He says no Sein HaTorah, not no Tain HaTorah. He thought sexting was the right way to say texting. Well, sext me when you get there. Guys, I'd love to go on. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say one thing. I don't want to see your vaccine posts. I'm tired of it. I get it. You're not on vacation. You need something to show off about, but this is not it. I'm sorry, but I'm not happy for you. Unless you're over 70. If your name is Irving and you got the vaccine, I'm happy for you. If your name is Chloe and you got the vaccine, I am not happy for you. Okay, you better have leprosy or it better not be a gluten allergy. Okay, that's it. That's all the time I have. Thank you so much. I'm Talia. Follow me on Instagram.
Yes, follow
Louise.
Talia Reese on Instagram. Follow David Spector. We're coming to a close for the event, and I promised you just some action items, which I'm going to put in the chat. So here you can add your name to call on President Biden and Congress to take urgent, bold action on climate change. And there's a Dayenu.org link there. There's also, you can go to make a commitment to Brit Chazon. And I'm going to put that in the chat as well. And then, really, I just want to say that, like, we have come together for laughter. But really, we started this event with a message about L'Dor Vador and just like keeping this environment that we have, and keeping climate change as a top issue, not only in general and politically and however, but also Jewishly. And so that's, I imagine I'm speaking to a choir here and some like-minded people, but I do think that that's really important. So those are in the chat, and there's some other, Rochelle, thank you, they're doing amazing work, Dayenu.org /chutzpah. I honestly, like, just in terms of, I was talking about Jewish pronunciations before, but then there's also pronouncing other things Jewishly, which is like Talia was talking about with sexting, which is such a great joke and I love so much. But I was also thinking about, like with massage parlors, and there's a place near my house and it says on the sign, foot, and then the word spa. And because I'm Jewish, I always call it a foot spa. And so please don't have the chutzpah to go to a foot spa. Let's stay inside and get through this whole thing. And I hope that you guys in the meantime can stay committed to climate change. And thanks so much for attending the Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest, and specifically this Laugh It Off event. I've been Liz Glazer. Your other comedians have been David Spector and Talia Reese. Thank you so much. Good vach. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.